What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amateur Hour TV at long last. Another upload on this channel. Today, we're going to be discussing Kyle Lowry, apparently available for trade by the Miami Heat. But before we get into that, I want to let you guys know that on this channel, you get NBA content with a particular focus on the Toronto Raptors in a different sort of vibe than you would get on my main channel, Amateur Hour Sports. You see the name over here. This is Amateur Hour TV, where I can let loose, be a little bit more informal, show my personality a little bit more. The same vibe you'd get from my streams on my main channel, you get in videos on this channel. And it's just extra basketball, Raptor stuff that I want to talk about that maybe I don't necessarily have enough time to go through on my main channel, but I still want to document my thoughts and I still want to just get my opinion out there on the internet. So that's what we have today regarding Kyle Lowry. So yesterday, early reports came out suggesting that the Miami Heat were willing to move Kyle Lowry via a trade. Now, this comes as no surprise. Since Kyle Lowry went to the Miami Heat, it has not been the best for either party. Kyle Lowry has not looked at his best. Last season, there were personal issues and injuries that kept him out for much of the season. And when he was there, unfortunately, he just was not the player they needed him to be. And despite all of that, they were a Jimmy Butler 3 away from going to the NBA Finals. Now, if Kyle Lowry was the guy that they needed him to be throughout that series, then there's a potential that they get there. But at the end of the day, it did not happen. There were, I think, multiple 0-point games in the playoffs from Lowry. And just so far this season, he's a little bit past it. I mean, 36 years old. Father Time has looked like it's finally caught up with the player. 15 points per game on 40% shooting, 35% from three. That going along with the rebounding at 4, assists at 6. So the assists are down. The field goal percentage is down. The three-point percentage is down. It's just Kyle Lowry is not playing like the player they're expecting to have when they signed him. And I love Kyle Lowry. He's the greatest Raptor of all time. He's probably my favorite player. I might even have his face tattooed on my leg one day. We'll see about that. But I love Kyle Lowry. And it is a damn shame that, unfortunately, it just isn't really working out there. Now, I will say on our side, Masai Ujiri fleece job, trading Kyle Lowry in the sign and trade to get Goran Dragic and Achiuwa. Achiuwa looking like an outstanding prospect, though he's injured right now and has had a really bad start to the season. Goran Dragic, we flipped for Thaddeus Young, who is turning out to be an important player for us. So fleece job there. And we did have to pay Kyle Lowry all that money that he wanted. And unfortunately, that is a big problem for Miami to try and move off of the player. Miami right now clearly are missing some pieces, as I mean, you could say about any team in the NBA, but Miami, like in the Jimmy Butler era, having just signed Tyler Hero, they want to be up there competing for top seeds in the Eastern Conference. Last season, they were the 1 seed. So absolutely, they feel like they can be like a top 4 seed, get a home playoff game. Right now, they're sitting at 11-12. They're outside of, well, they're in a playing position. Not quite outside of the playoff picture looking in, but they're 11-12. They were at one point, I think, 7-10. So a little bit of a recovery there. But there's been some issues with this team. And unfortunately, a lot of it is just that Kyle Lowry's making all this money and they want to maximize the value that they're getting. So trading off him doesn't really seem like a surprise here. So immediately, and as soon as I saw this report on Twitter, I knew immediately where Raptors fans were going to go. It is the reunion. The script is written, the reunion coming back to Toronto, coming back to the Raptors. So what I'm going to do in today's video is very quickly put that to bed. I love Kyle Lowry. I think he would be a decent player to have with our team here. Now, I think people would lose their mind. I mean, people already lose their mind over Fred VanVleet, so having a guy with a similar style like Lowry, I mean, could send people over the edge respectfully. You bring him in, is he going to be like your backup guard? He's probably going to need a starting role with that money. And, I mean, just beyond the fit, you just have to first assess the simple fact of the matter here. He's getting paid too much money. This season, he's making $28.3 million. Next season, he's making $29.7 million when you round to the nearest 100,000. Yeah, around $59 million owed to Kyle Lowry, or is it $58 million? Whatever. Nearly $60 million owed to Kyle Lowry this season and next season. Geez, that really handcuffs what you're going to do with your roster from a financial standpoint. That really does handcuff you in terms of the ability to make a trade here, because you have to match that salary. You can't just take on that salary. You know what I mean? Like yeah, I'd like to have Kyle Lowry on our team, but I don't want to pay Kyle Lowry all that money, respectfully. We can't afford it. And in order to actually make that trade happen, we'd have to move off of probably like the best contract to trade. You'd have to probably trade Gary Trent Jr., Kem Birch, and Malachi Flynn. You'd probably get some picks back in return, but you're stuck on that Kyle Lowry contract for the next 2 years. And for a Raptors team that wants to, work into competitiveness, work into contention in the next little while, that could really set your progress back in terms of the players that you have on your team, especially also knowing that you're going to have to extend Fred potentially in the end of the year. Gary Trent, if you don't move off of him, you're going to have to extend him. But I mean, I guess if you trade, then you don't have to worry about giving those guys new contracts. But again, percentage of league cap. I know the salary cap's going up, but right now he's making 22.91% of the league cap. Like it's just way, way, way too much money to be paying Kyle Lowry, unfortunately. Like, it is what it is. It's a sad reality that he's just getting paid too much money. I'd like him back on the team, but as far as under this contract, it just can't happen for the Raptors. It just can't happen for the Raptors. It is just far too expensive. I think ability-wise, he still has the ability to be a good NBA player. He's past the All-Star level he was 6 years ago with the Raptors, where he probably should have been on at least one all-defense team on more all-NBA teams. But regardless, he's got his championship, greatest Raptor of all time. It's a street named after him in Toronto. On this contract, we just can't have him on our team, unfortunately. So where can he go? Well, there's definitely going to be some lesser teams in the NBA, maybe looking for some guidance for the younger players, maybe looking for a salary dump to get some picks here, because getting off of this Lowry contract, it's going to cost some picks from the Miami Heat. Ooh, I just don't really understand. I mean, making the trade here, can any teams take a salary dump right now? I don't even know. I'd have to look more into that. But the value the Heat would get back, I mean, you might just have to eat this one or buy him out, because the Heat want to be good. It's the Jimmy Butler era right now. They want to win with Jimmy Butler. They want to win right now with Butler and Adebayo. So they got to get some good pieces in return. And they're also going to have to give away some picks to move off of this contract. Granted, that's not impossible when you're moving the picks off to get a decent player, maybe on a bad team. But this is a real mess of a situation for Miami. It's a real mess to see what they have to do. Maybe a buyout at the end of the season. Maybe they're just kind of testing the waters to see what they can get. Maybe there's another team in the NBA who feels like they could have better use out of Kyle Lowry and are willing to move some okay pieces because they need a point guard and they think Kyle Lowry could be the point guard general, not asking him to do too much. That really helps out their team, because Kyle Lowry's still a good player. He's not worth the money he's on, but for a team that maybe needs to tie the bow on their roster with a point guard, that's an avenue that maybe the Heat could look to exploit within a trade on the spot. I'm going to put myself on the spot here and try to find a team that maybe that would make sense for. Obviously, Eastern Conference at the top, a little bit more difficult to do because you've got the Boston Celtics. Pacers, I don't see them committing to going for like getting a point guard and just actually going for it this season. Like, if Lonzo's injury persists, the Chicago Bulls, not just because they have DeRozan, that's maybe a little bit far-fetched though. You go to the Western Conference, looking around the board here. Yeah, I mean, I could see maybe the Clippers, just thinking, tie the bow on that roster with a point guard. Don't think that's completely out of the realms of possibility. They don't mind having all that salary on their books. So, yeah, you know what? I don't see a great fit anywhere. Dallas, maybe even. I don't really see a great fit anywhere, but, Clippers maybe on the radar a little bit. So, really difficult for any team to move off Lowry. So, where it can change is if Kyle Lowry goes somewhere to get bought out, like Goran Dragic was last season, where this is way more money, or if maybe Kyle Lowry just plays out the rest of the 2 years on this contract. Hey, we'll see what sort of a player he is at that time, what sort of skills he has left in the tank at that age, but bringing Kyle Lowry on a vet minimum to finish his career off in Toronto, that sounds like a perfect end to the script here. I think that just having the veteran presence here, a guy who's done it all with the Raptors, would be great to have for this organization, and just be like good vibes around the locker room, good vibes with the fans. I think that's a real good match here. But as far as Kyle Lowry right now, in terms of, paying him all that money and trading assets the way to get him, it just doesn't make sense for this team. So this is a strong stay away by the Raptors. Just out of your head, the Raptors are not trading for Kyle Lowry. If you enjoyed this video on Amateur TV, drop a like. Easiest thing you can do to support the channel, and subscribe for more NBA content with a focus on the Raptors just like this. Right now, I'm really busy doing all my Raptors content and doing all this World Cup content for my job, so that's why videos have really stopped at the frequency on this channel, but they're going to be coming back very soon. We're going to get back into the content consistently on here. Subscribe to get along for the journey, and for more Raptors content, subscribe to my main channel, Amateur Sports. Help me on my road to 13,000 subs there and 2,000 subs on this channel.